Welcome to the Chronicles of Cigarnia, where we pair and review books and cigars. Today I'm going back to my roots with two books from Japan. This is called The Cat Who Saved Books. I mean, right up my alley, right? By Sosuke Natsukawa. And this is a manga series. You can see I have the books in the background on my shelf. It's called The Way of the Househusband by Kosuke Oono. We're pairing them with a cigar from Archive that's called the Japanese Habano. So I needed some help translating this band because my Japanese sounds exactly like American English. And evidently this top line says Archive. No surprise, right? It's from Archive Cigars. Mind-blowing! And this bottom line, however, says leaf wrap, which I guess is a more literal and kind of poetic way to describe our favorite wrapped leaf object, the cigar. So as I hope you can see, this is a nice matte chocolate brown color with a little bit of a gold sheen to it. The fragrance is kind of a mossy mineral type of smell. All right, let's do this. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, pre-light draw. Wow, that is like a super sweet grassiness. Way more sweet than I anticipated. Like I'd almost think there is a bit of sugar on there, which, you know, makes me like it even more. That was a nice pre-light draw. All right, no point in dilly-dallying. Let's just get right into it. And suddenly the day looks better, right? Hey, looking nice. Wow. Okay, so quite mild in the first few puffs, actually, and a lot of cedar. There's still a tiny bit of that sweetness from the pre-light, but not so much, and there's quite a bit of tingling on the tongue, like a hot pepper type of tingle. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so the first book. If you like bookstores and you like cats, you will adore this. So I obviously love bookstores, but I am not a fan of cats. And I still liked this book. And I have to say, a lot of my like for this book has to do with this cover. I mean, check this out. Look at this. It's reminiscent. I guess I could try to open this all at once without fumbling. Ah, look at that. Isn't that pretty? This is very reminiscent of the Japanese woodblock prints that I aspire to collect someday and have a few of on my wall. They kind of have to compete with the other things that I seem to really love to hoard, which also would be books and cigars, not to mention fancy dresses that I would never need to wear anywhere, and the shoes and... Okay, so really quickly for the plot. An antisocial teenager is left his grandfather's bookstore when his grandfather passes. While he's trying to figure out what to do with his life and if he even really needs to go back to school, a magical talking cat appears and starts taking him to various places to fight evil entities or creatures that are doing bad things to books. Now, each place or villain he deals with is doing something that has to do with books in their own unique way, and I feel like each world has its own philosophical debate about how we treat books and maybe the nature of the publishing industry, and all of the imagery itself feels very significant. You can deep dive all you want. It really lends itself to that, or you can read it like me, which is just a very shallow and enjoyable skim across the surface of the different strange worlds that the character goes to. Whoa, and there's the door closing by itself. It is actually super beautiful for the imagery, and specifically the imagery of the bookstore. Oh my goodness, the way that the author describes it, I feel like I'm sitting there with the hero, and it is a lovely description and experience. Cat or no cat? The other nice thing about this book is that it's super episodic, and so you can sit down and maybe read one of the worlds in the time it will take you to maybe do about half a cigar. So it moves really fast and is interesting like that. So a plus. The cigar. Okay, so the first third is really settling down as far as that pepper. It is flown away to who knows where and left that cedar flavor that the cigar opened up with, and that is really the majority of the first third for me so far. Is we've got this nice powdery cedar. There is also some bready, I guess wheat bready type flavor going on there. I got this cigar from Pravada on their website, and there is this very enthusiastic and in-depth review, and I think it's from the owner. And if you follow them on social media, you know this guy has a very distinctive voice, and it comes through in his writing style with his review for this also. This review said that it has a peanut butter ghost flavor going on. So I was very excited. Oh yeah. Yeah, there is a bit of nuttiness that develops in the seconds after the smoke dissipates a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I went in thinking Reese's peanut butter cup, which of course is not the case. It's more of just a more deep nutty flavor, if you could call it that. But yeah, I totally see what he means by that. So yeah, a ghost flavoring of some nuttiness, if you will. Okay, to the second books. That doesn't make any sense. To the second set of books. So I'm not necessarily a manga lady, and I know some of you out there just go crazy for it. So please don't criticize me for my lack of knowledge. And if you are a manga fan, you've probably heard of this series because it's not necessarily new. It's called The Way of the Househusband, and it is hilarious. The plot roughly is that this guy, he is known as the Immortal Dragon, and he is like the top assassin for the Yakuza in Japan, and he has a change of heart and decides to focus all of his skills away from killing people to taking care of his wife and becoming the best house husband he can possibly be. And all of that focus and intensity and skill, if you will, gets funneled into like making the perfect cake or chopping the beef at exactly the right thickness, or finding the perfect white powder consistency for the laundry detergent. It is a classic fish out of water story, and hijinks and hilarity ensues when he runs into his old colleagues in very unexpected places, like the cat cafe or like the bargain bin sale of the year. Okay, back to the cigar. For a lady who says she doesn't like cats, it's kind of strange how many cat pieces of jewelry or cat pictures I have. I have to examine that. I'm more of a dog person. I'm a dog person, right? Yeah, of course. All right, so as far as burn, you can see what I've got going on here. I'm gonna take a picture so I can show you. There's that. It's doing this thing that kind of blows my mind in that it is simultaneously super flaky, but also really staying strong together. I mean, it kind of feels like it's defying the laws of the universe and that it can be both at once. But I suppose that's what a good croissant is too, right? It's super flaky, but also super substantial. So not as uncommon as I'm making it out to be. So that same review from Pravada says that the second third has pancake batter flavor. Okay, the peanut butter, I'll give you, but pancake batter, weedy, yes, and that it seems to, become the equal to the cedar at this point. But when someone says pancakes, my brain goes to full on, maple syrup and butter, and so I just am expecting maybe too much out of that description. Okay, there seems to be some intense. Go away, fly. Wow, that's a big fly. Cigars are pretty good bug repellent. Have you noticed? Turns out not if this fly is the size of a goat. Go away. It wants to be on film. Okay, there also seems to be some leathery flavor coming in here as the cigar develops, which I kind of like. It's adding some complexity. Okay, back to the book. Check out this on the back. Super cute. So this series currently has 7 books, but the 8th one is coming out in August of 2022, which is just a month and a half away. Yay. Yes, I have already pre-ordered it like the nerd that I am. And you can finish the whole book in less than an hour. Don't tell, but that is how I have climbed to the top of the leaderboard at my local library's summer reading program. And considering that length of time, I really can't think of a better accompaniment for a cigar. I mean, I laugh out loud at a lot of these situations, like the crew of housewives he teams up with. He does things like he goes to yoga class with them, and the yoga teacher has them in plow pose and is like, yes, what does this pose remind you of? And she's thinking, of course, it looks like a plow. And he's like, yes, this is when you've been shot in the head and left for dead. And the teacher's like, no, that's not really what I mean. And if you have Netflix, they have made this into an animated series, which is also a lot of fun. It covers about half of the episodes, so you can really do both, and because they are different experiences, but they are equally fun and have the same fun character. You could just fire up the cigar and watch Netflix. Oh my goodness. Okay, so back to the cigar. That tingly hot pepper from the very, very beginning, very symmetrically coming back here at the end, which of course, you know, we appreciate balance, so thank you very much. Yeah, and that cedary airiness is all kind of like melding together into like one big powdery type of flavor, which is kind of nice. Yeah, the nuttiness has pretty much disappeared and has been replaced with some intense leatheriness. As far as room notes are concerned, the tasting panel found that at first, the smell was very just like strong tobacco, which, I mean, yes. But as the cigar burned, that developed into a very caramely sweetness that was actually really delicious. Strength-wise, it's not crazy strong, despite being a little bit on the larger side. So there are a few other cigars with Japanese influence out there that I wanted to try for this episode, but I didn't get around to. I think Alec Bradley has one out called the Kintsugi, which I really want to try. And then, of course, Room 101 with their Sakura Mon as the label. So if any of you have tried some cigars from Room 101 or that Alec Bradley, please do comment and let me know what you think, because those are definitely on my radar of things I want to try. Anyway, thank you for indulging me through yet another episode. I am always so flattered that you watch and blown away by your kind responses, so thank you very much for all of that. I hope you are smoking some good cigars. I hope you are reading some fun, good books, and ideally, of course, doing them both at the same time, because that is one of life's great pleasures. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye. So much to my joy, we have finally got lighting in my studio, or the garage. But what I have noticed is that because of this amazing lighting, one is perhaps not able to see my smoke rings as well, which is not really a tragedy, considering how bad I was at them. For posterity, should we try? Let's try this. There's a good one drifting towards the door. Now that fly, if he was worth anything, he would be flying through those rings right now. Come on. Whatever.